他就在淋雨。
是不是回来了？你们过年怎么团年怎么过的？你们在一起团的？挺好。
那我呀，你这个问题怎么问？我跟我前女友结婚了。啊。我前女友Okay, so it's private. What?
看来就要是那生产了。
到3分对啊，是吧？输这么多了。
哦，这次还看了一个。看来28的小鱼。
对，他有个哥们从国内过来了。
哦，是。
对。
没有。
哎，你们这学期选课多吗？不是，我说备选的多吗？不是你们上学期不是选了好10几20门可以选吗？中间。那咱刚好选了这么多虫子了。
我们选了好少。
我们就4门选3门。对。
我不说了。我们的办公室的涂林良老师。不过没事儿，这个课讲了需要了解一下就像我有那个学个软件吧，就新纯的还是新学的。就是全能性啊。没有，我这个是没有。那你上的那个online课那个课其实也是有讲解的，这个课比较多，反正我是在这个课那个课犹豫，都很省这个课。
Okay, so welcome to Mod 6201 e-business strategy. I hope this is the module that you're taking or thinking about taking. So you have a week or two to finalize your choice of options. I guess you come along to the classes, you'll get a feeling for whether this is the module you want to do. I'm just conscious that the first session we might have a few extra students. Okay, so you were supposed to be talking to the student next door to you, most of you were doing this. So, do you know the answers to these questions? Can we move down along and let the new students in? So, pick the person next door to you, okay, and answer these questions for me. Are they doing an MSc degree?
No.
Put up your hand. If they're doing an MSc.
MSc 不是
Okay. So put up your hand. Oh,
MSc 是什么？
can everybody
硕士
shuffle down their row and let's see who can get it.
我还得过去，还得过去。我来个选，我来个。我这套路直接不对人。好的，够了。把衣服脱了就可以。
So the person next door to you are they doing? Oh,
肯定啊。
they're doing an MSc. Yeah. Are they doing some other degree like MA or com? Put up your hand. So we've got a few of those as well. We're all doing a master's degree, some kind of master's degree, mostly an MSc. So, the country, particular country, region or city that they're from. Are you sitting next to someone from the UK? Put up your hand. Okay. Are you sitting next to somebody from somewhere else in Europe? Okay. A few of those. Are you sitting next to somebody from China? Are you sitting next to somebody from another country in Asia? Okay, a few of those. Thank you. Come on in. Are you sitting next to somebody from a different continent, not Europe, not Asia? Okay. So, okay, so you're all doing master's degrees, mostly MSc, different. You're mostly from China, the UK, somewhere else in Europe, somewhere else in Asia. When they graduate, what do they aspire to? What do they wish to do? Would they like to be developer, project manager, contractor, consultant? That's a rather limited choice. Okay, so we have somebody in here who wants to be a world-class football player and is just pretending to come along and study my module. Thank you. There may be other choices, but the question is, of those four, which would be your first choice? So just spend 2 or 3 minutes talking to your neighbour, pair up, and find out which of these four they would choose and why. If you move along, then you've got someone to talk to.
你也是都在想吗？我喜欢光，有来片儿，一般是。有来片儿。不是我们之前也是偏技术的，就是你现在好多公司它那个就是上升的话，有从技术走，有从管理走。就管理更多的是 organization 那种感觉，就是组织的那种，就是陈轩是不是就是？陈轩是偏项目管理的。 好就是从 developer 到 project manager， 因为就是说你要不懂技术的话，你去使别人，你去安排别人干活的话，别人就不服你。
来讲。
他那个 contractor 和 consultant 是什么意思？哎，你们玩不development也经常这样讨论一下吗？
没有，他就那边从头到尾找，从来没有让我讨论。然后他以前每次会在提出问题的时候，他还在听我2个人，但是我很少回答。那2个口约的又在这里。他们上个学期过来，叫刚说的配合他俩。要一个人不
我觉得这个跟e-business没啥关系。
主要他说到时候分组，然后有那个。
到时候分组是吧？developer。
I had a little discussion with this group of students who wanted to know what is a contractor. Is there anyone else in the room who doesn't know what I mean by contractor? So contractor is somebody who works on a short-term contract to do whatever it says in that contract. The short term might be for a month, it might be 6 months. Usually, for students like yourselves, if you work as a contractor, it would be doing web development, software development. But not as an employee with a long-term relationship, but instead you work for somebody for 1 month, somebody else 6 months, take a gap, they work, etc.
Is the benefit being paid for?
Sorry?
Is the benefit being paid for?
Okay. If you work as a contractor, you charge a higher rate. Maybe you charge your time by the hour or by the week. Okay. The benefit is while you're working, you can earn more, but you don't have security of employment. And you don't have the benefits. If you have a regular employer, they would pay your national insurance, your pension contribution, etc. As a contractor, like I said, you might have a gap between contracts. So there's benefits and disadvantages. Yeah. Do you need more time, or should we find out now we've spent enough time? Okay, so you're answering for the person you've been talking to, not your own answer, your neighbour's answer. Would they rather be a developer? Who has that as the first choice? Okay. For the neighbour, would they like to be a project manager? Okay. Would they like to be a contractor? Maybe. Would they like to be a consultant? Maybe. We didn't quite get 100% response, but nonetheless, the most popular things were developer and project manager. And that's interesting because, okay, I can show you what's behind this little question. In many business reports, you will see a graph or diagram which looks like this. and then the labels are often different. And a diagram like that comes out of making two binary choices. And the binary choices are you employed long-term or short-term contract work? And the other binary choices here are you doing technical or business management? Okay, so if you answered developer, you were picking technical but long-term employed. If you answered contractor, well, if you had the same kind of contract in mind, if you said project manager, you were thinking of business management but employed, and if you said consultant. Alright, so a lot of issues in business can be boiled down to one of these diagrams with 4 quadrants or 4 quarters. Now, this module is really about business or e-business management. It's not really a module about software or web development. So the concerns of the module are as it shows here. Well, we're looking at business models. We're looking at innovation, e-business innovation, and how that gets funded through internal investment. And of course, because our focus is e-business, not other aspects of business, then information technology. Okay. So that's the kind of module. So if you were thinking it would be an extension of the web development in the first semester, this is not that module. It is not a programming module, not software development, nor is it web development. Instead, it's about, well, what I think is captured nicely in this quotation. The real business of information technology is adding business value. And sometimes students and IT employees forget that because they focus just on the technology, because they like the technology, it's fun, it's always changing, it's new and interesting. But it wouldn't be a source of employment if IT failed to add business value. So what is business value, and how does information technology add business value? Well, those issues are the topic of this module. So what is business value? How does IT add business value? And it's important because, I feel, according to these people at least, that is what information technology is for. Okay. So I begin this module these days with a little bit of discussion of finance. So we've got one international footballer here. He's just kind of recovering from an injury or something. So here we've got someone who's got £1 million in their bank account. The rest of you may not have £1 billion in your bank account, 1 million, 1,000, or even 100. Okay. So when I say to you, okay, well, how do you approach investment decisions, the answer is, well, we don't, because we don't have any money, so we've never had to thought about investing. Okay. So let's go gently into this question. Okay. Just write down on a bit of paper or write it down on your computer or phone and then share it with your neighbour. What do you think a software developer earns? What does the house cost? And then how many years is it going to take somebody working as a software developer to buy a house? And then compare that with your neighbour. Particularly if your neighbour is somebody from a different country, and they'll probably have a different answer.
说北京的房子。
对。
郊区在哪？
郊区也得4万，也得4万。
6环以外。
6环以外也得4万，是吧？
这个呀。
我说一辈子也买不起好房子。
首付2%，我当时10年的时候，我们当时那个时候那个外面6环外才1万多一点点，然后那个时候首付就是那个就是首付就20到30万，然后现在那个外面就4万5，就是到4万5，然后你首付3倍，那也得70-80万吧。那是6环外啊。
首付要80万，要80万，你就
那比如说刚出去，比如说第1年1万，第2年不是那也1万5吧，就是一般 IT 公司涨工资一般至少得2000往上涨，或者高一点3-4千、4-5千一年，就是过1年第2年就是工资涨了。
一个月能存2000的话，那你年可以存2万，然后70万首付的话，
那你1个月得比这1万多。
1万存，1万
不是你们就是刚就是你们比如说应该正常工资应该在7万钱，那每年涨个，每年都能涨。对。对。不是，每年都能涨，每年都能涨。
那个6年就在5万1年业绩，6年才能够付个首付。
那你不能这样子，你在进步呀。
对，是的。
80万的。
这个也要反正看在哪里买。这个首付的话有。上海那边
上海也得7万，也得7万。
我觉得
对呀。
大概1天10块的话，6环
6环现在是6环外4万1是吧？就是前几年我才10万吧，好的10万。
Okay, I'm going to come up with some numbers. So let's have a look at
他为什么给咱们讨论这么？
the UK and China and maybe the others, but this is a more complicated exercise because it's not just 2 by 2, we've got a 4 by 3 matrix here. So, who thinks the average salary for a developer in the UK, shout out the numbers, I'll try and hear.
32,000.
40? 35. You accept that, 40? It's a range, of course.
35.
35?
35, any higher than 40?
1个月是吧？1年还是1个月？
Okay, well maybe the 40 is around that.
4万英镑是吧？那跟中国差不多。 年薪对。
In London, the standard is 400 grand with a 100 grand deposit.
So in London, 400, 500 I heard. Outside of London, 200. So nationally, maybe 250. Maybe to work in London, more than that. Okay.
40万，它是40万英镑是吧？1年。
Okay, so it's around 40,000 and you're buying a house cost this much. It should take you about 6 years.
它是40万英镑是吗？
对，40万。他后面是签嘛
4万。 40,000 他写了一个
这是钱嘛
6年你就能在 You have to eat, drink.
But you mean you're not putting all of your salary into buying a house? Because there are other costs. Okay? So, being lesson, there are other costs. What about tax? Yes, there are other expenses, tax, living costs. Okay. So, that's a bit optimistic. How much does it actually take?
就是平均在中国一个 developer 应该是30万，平均的话，20万到30万这些。
啊，30到50年才可以买了个房子。
25吧，应该是。
有些是要离开
它有个30万人民币，也差不多40。
Okay. Now, what happens to your cost as your salary increases? Your costs increase. Yeah? Certainly your tax will go up because it's proportional to your
他
salary.
说的 China 不是说北上广，就是来北上广。
你不能说
Only whatever's above the threshold of 43k will be taxed at 45%. Still good.
Yeah, so there's tax at 20%, there's tax at 43%, sure. So that goes for income tax, for your other costs. Now, you're earning this much at the moment, then you get a job, you earn that much, now you go up and you earn more. Will your costs stay the same as your salary increases?
Yeah.
No, I'll probably buy a car.
So, usually people who earn more spend more. Okay. So, in theory, you could keep the same cost as your salary goes up, but not in practice. So maybe it's 30 years in Southampton and 50 years in London.
30.
Okay. Does somebody know, I don't, the answers in China? What would typical salary be if you worked as a developer in China? It would be
25 to 30. 25 to 30.
Well, it obviously varies from the city. So like in the UK, it makes a big difference for the capital city, for Shanghai, or somewhere else it might be. Yeah, it varies by city by city.
I'd say about 30.
So what? Does anyone know the answer for what would be the main cities that people would develop
Every-
to go? Would it be Beijing or Shanghai? And what would you earn in those cities?
25, 25, yeah.
What numbers are we
Average, average.
Yeah. What numbers are we talking in? Pounds.
Pound. Yeah.
What would be the cost of buying a flat or a house in a city like Beijing or Shanghai?
不对，至少得400，平均的，就是北上广我说的。
我觉得现在平均4万1平，没有了，我觉得现在就4万1平100个100肯定的吧，但是大部分都是其实买都是以房换房那种。
你现在得400万，平均的，北上广我说的北上广。
就广州上便宜，现在深圳房价，
深圳也贵啊。
深圳比北京还贵。
There are other costs, and they tend to go up.
不是他没上升。
Actually, as a software developer, you're probably doing better than many other lines of work. That's another thing. Okay. Now, what about a business? It's different from an individual. Some people say, oh, business is all about making a profit. What else would a business try to do? Create jobs. Okay. Yeah. Anything else? Would be to okay, to boost the brand. Yeah. Oh, pay taxes, okay. So that would be like an individual, yeah.
第二个是什么？
It would. Well, it's like great jobs, isn't it? So, that's the next thing. Now, which people would it be keeping? It's employees busy. Okay, I see what you mean. Yeah, jobs. Right, yeah. Make its employees work. I'll say, okay, yeah. Thank you, right. We want to provide value to the customer. Because if the business doesn't serve the customers, it's not going to be around for very long. On this slide, I've taken the mission statement from a number of businesses that you would know, I think. And one of them says, our mission is to be the customer's favourite place and way to eat and drink. And if you put these phrases in Google, you'll find out which businesses they are. To provide a consistent professional service, to deliver high quality, safe, innovative toys, etc. So that's what businesses say they're trying to achieve. And here's a little bit of advice from someone who was at one point the richest person in the world, and possibly is the richest person ever. So who's heard of Rockefeller? Okay, good. Back in the 1900s or thereabouts, built a bigger business empire and made a lot of money, gave a lot of it away through charity. So there's Rockefeller Foundation and Rockefeller Plaza and a lot of things that were charitable. So this is what people do sometimes when they made $1 billion, they give some of it away. But the quote is, if your only goal is to become rich, you will never achieve it. So that's why when you ask what is business for, and the business says something like to serve our customers better, that's really got to be the first or a pretty high priority. If your only goal is to become rich, you'll never achieve it.
On the Wall Street customers?
Hmm?
The Wall Street service customers?
Rockefeller was the oil baron?
Yeah, but in general, like, because there's this kind of called the generalistic fact, I suppose.
It is. So if your only goal is, so there's nothing wrong with having a goal of becoming rich and serving your customers, or serving your customers and becoming rich. So you have to do both, make a profit and serve the customers. So that's the challenge, is to balance those things. And this kind of reflects on the question, what should a business do if it makes an unexpected or windfall profit? You know, we were thinking we were going to make a 5% profit, but gosh, we made a 50% profit. Now we've got more money than we were expecting. So, does the business hold a party to reward its loyal customers? Does it pay an extra dividend to shareholders? Does it give its employees a cash bonus? Does it invest in new buildings or new projects? Does it spend the money on extra advertising? And I put some dots at the bottom because, of course, there's many other ways the business could spend its money. Put up your hand if you understand dividend and shareholder. Put up your hand if you don't understand those words. Okay, so there's a few of you going to have to kind of look up how people can buy shares in a company, which means they own a part of the company, a share, and those shares they can sell again, but also a share of a fraction of the profit goes to the shareholders, and that is called a dividend. So it's just been paying the owners a little bit more than they were expecting, you know, because the profit was 50%, not 5%. Okay. And the thing is that any of those might be the right thing for the business to do, depending on its situation. So, you know, if it's a really established business and it's relying on its customer loyalty, and it's a particular special occasion like 100th year, yes, give some of the money to the customers. If the shareholders have been suffering and the share price is low as a result, then boost the dividend, why not? If the employers have been putting in long hours to recover from some crisis, like a building burning down, well, they deserve a cash bonus or some other benefit out of the extra profit. If the business is in a situation where there are very good opportunities in the short or medium term, then they should be thinking about how to invest in the short to medium term future of the business. Or if there's a lot of competition coming up, then it might be reasonable to spend some of that money on advertising to boost the brand, which is an important part of maintaining a successful business. Okay. So I'll switch back again to the question of a personal investment. Has anyone ever played this game called Monopoly? And may have different names. And you go around the board and you land on certain squares, and sometimes it says pick up a card, and you pick up a card and it says, you have to pay some extra tax, oh dear. And sometimes it says you've earned or inherited a little bit of money you weren't expecting from a relative you didn't know you existed. So, you've earned £100. Who would spend it? Be honest. Who would just spend it? Okay. Who would put it into a bank account and keep it for later? Okay. Who would buy shares or some other form of investment?
share 太少了，不够。
So a few of you would invest, but otherwise it's kind of spend or save. Now, you've inherited this relative who you know existed, turns out to be quite rich, and actually they've left you £100,000. Who would spend the money?
Well, all of it.
Yeah. Okay, good point. Somebody would.
I don't know, not all of it, not all of it.
Only up to better. Who would save the money? And who would invest the money?
Save part
So
invest
your
part.
answer is very different depending on the amount. That's interesting. And another point is, when it's this much, you wouldn't just do one thing with it. You would divide it up and use it in different ways. And that's related to the idea of having a kind of portfolio. Instead of just one thing, you'd have a number of investments or a number of savings. And of course you'd spend some of it to celebrate. Why not? Okay. So, again, what you do with money, how you think about it, depends on the scale of the total amount, the sum you're talking about. Okay. Still wouldn't buy you a house in Southampton or in London. There are parts of the UK which you could buy a house for 100,000. Would it be the same in China? There'd be other parts of China you could buy somewhere to live for 100,000? Yeah. So that would be another possibility.
可以，
So,
其他一线城会城市
I've been working hard, so I won't get this as a group exercise. So, how can you invest in something which preserves the capital but gives you a positive return? Is there such an investment? Property goes up and down in value.
Like go for like a London house, you can kind of set your watch by how much the price increases there. So that's a safe market.
So is there anything that's more reliable in terms of, yeah?
Just a savings account or an ISA. You know,
Savings
the
account
interest
or
rate could go down.
ISA.
There's low inflation these days.
Yeah, I'm not talking about inflation here. I'm talking about the sub-investors, yeah. But yes, inflation is a good point. When you're making decisions about investment for the long term, you have to think about inflation, which we kind of touched on because all my salary will go up for various reasons, one of which is inflation. Yeah.
What about art?
What about
Art, painting.
who's going to preserve the value
艺术品卖一
in
下
a painting?
收藏，但是收藏。
Yeah. But the question here is, I want a guarantee. Perhaps I should have said guaranteed rather than preserved. Okay, so we've had savings accounts, and now we're getting index funds. So, why is your money safe in the bank?
Safe.
Or is your money safe in the bank?
Yeah.
Show
Yeah.
of hands, who thinks your money is safe in the bank? Most people think yes.
Yeah.
So why is your money safe in the bank?
That's a lie.
Because
Yeah?
if the bank flops, the government will bail it out.
Because the bank?
If the bank flops, the government will bail it out.
The government backs the bank.
Yeah.
Right? Now, why is your money safe when it's backed by the government?
Because if the government goes down, your money's not worth anything anyway.
Because the government can print more money.
Let me come back to
That's also how your money
If
becomes
you
worth.
look, does anyone know the ceiling of the bank guarantee? 100,000 euros. I think, yeah. So in Europe, at least, there is a sum which is guaranteed and is part of the banking system. Okay. Now, and the government can ensure there's an adequate supply of money to meet those guarantees because it can print more money. But if we really want to make a decent investment guaranteed, why would we go to the bank when the guarantee comes from the government? Okay, so who's heard of government bonds? So this is the best way of, well, who's heard of premium bonds? Okay. Government bonds and a kind of government bond in the UK called a premium bond. This is the best way to invest in the government. They make a promise and it's as safe as putting your money in the bank in a savings account. But if you put your money in a bank, of course they're going to take a little amount of it as their own profit. So if you've got £100,000, you're better off buying a government bond. Now, there's a little bit of concern from one part of the audience that banks are not safe. Why would you be saying banks are not safe?
Because of the way banks operate.
Because of the way banks operate.
抢银行这么说。
Rob
the bank.
So which
I mean, there's no point like singling out any bank because they all operate towards profit.
they're all, banks
They
are
have to
profit.
do whatever they can.
Banks are profit making, yes, and they make mistakes, yes, and they go bankrupt, yes, and what happens in this country, the government is bailed out by the government. So, the guarantee is up to a certain amount. So if you put more than that sum into the savings account of a bank, then you put it at risk. If you invest it in a bank, which for some reason isn't part of that guarantee system, you put it all at risk. If you buy government bonds, then it's safe because the government has made a commitment. So, that would be a possibility. Your sum is safe, but the return might go up or down.
Real estate, property.
Well, the sum is safe. How can we manage that? So those of you who said you'd save that £100, what were you going to do with it? You were going to put it in your current account? So the current account is something where the capital is guaranteed, but the expected return is 0. The capital may increase or decrease, and this is the point. For most investments, the amount you put in, it might go up, it might go down. We've talked about art, we've talked about property, shares, all of those. The sum that you put in might go up, it might go down. How do you get a positive expected return?
Generally make good investments, make it quite diverse, so that it generally just...
So having a portfolio
Yes,
reduces
portfolio
the
management.
risk, yes. But having good investments, yeah, so the definition of a good investment is the expected return is positive. So what would be an example of a good investment?
Well, I was going to say, if you were buying shares, the value of the shares could increase or decrease, but the dividend payments, providing they're paying out dividends, should give you a positive return.
So we're talking about expected. So this is a probabilistic thing. People who study investment say that long-term investing in shares, buying parts of companies, and then relying on the share price going up and the dividend, which you get paid on an annual basis or more often. This is the best form of investment. Company shares, and you're right, you want to choose a sensible selection of companies to invest in.
But the return is very limited. The return is very limited.
I said positive, I didn't say massive. Sure, yes.
It depends on your game.
It depends on your game, yes. So, if you get £100,000 now, at this stage in your life, your attitude to that would be very different to my attitude to getting a sum. So it depends how long you're expecting to live for, and what kind of lifestyle you aspire to. The expected return is 0 or negative.
When you buy a
None
car.
of you said that they would gamble. And maybe that was just because you weren't going to admit to gambling. But gambling is certainly an activity where the expected return is negative.
Negative.
But
Betting on Arsenal against like
betting on a football club is just another kind of gambling. And why is the expected return negative?
Because the betting companies control the odds to make sure they make
Because
money.
the football club you bet it might do. But more importantly, it's a business. And the profit that the gambling firm or the casino take is precisely your average expected loss. And of course you might think you're better, you're cleverer, you can beat the odds, but long term your return on gambling is certainly negative.
You can do much better than this. You can do much better.
If you're engaged in betting, where there's a company that's organising the betting, that company is using that betting to sustain itself. So its costs and its profits are coming out of the money that people are betting. So essentially, there's no way of gambling where there isn't a loss.
Yeah, of course. So long as it's not yours. So long as it's not yours. So long as it's not yours, your loss, it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, it's to do with the attitude to money. Right? If your aged aunt dies and gives you £100,000, is it your money or her money?
Give it to you.
Did you inherit £100,000?
If you inherit it, it's your money.
Yeah, exactly.
It's your money.
Yeah, you inherit
Okay, so it's your money. If you gamble, it's your loss. Okay.
Exactly. Uh-huh.
So I've talked about shares and I've talked about bonds. So let's just stop for a minute and read the slide. Okay, so these are the main forms of serious investment. And the interesting thing is, on average, shares do better than any other form of investment. And that's because the company is the best way of generating profit, additional value, better even than a government bond. And so that's why companies, well, they're high on their list of things they're trying to achieve, is to generate profit and value for their customers, but also for their shareholders. So, if you were to be investing in shares, you would be looking at things such as this, a company's report, and looking at its finances, or if the company report is a bit tricky, you can look at somebody who summarised that in a more digestible way, like an investment or finance website. And there's the price of the company. So it's got a number of shares, and each share is for sale at a certain price. If you had that much money, you could buy all the shares, and then you would own the entire company. So that's the total price of the company. Their earnings, different countries or different people use different language, so sometimes people talk about profit, sometimes they talk about earnings, and then the price over earnings. So this is like thinking about the cost of a house, and then now this is the profit, remember. So the profit for the company is maybe a 50th or a fifth. So P over E could be somewhere between 5 and 50. So if if you had a company and the P/E was 5, that means you buy the company and in 5 years you get your money back if the profit stays at the same level. In year 6, that profit would be yours, so that would be a 20% return on that investment in year 6. So if you see a company with a low P/E, it might be it's a good investment. Or it might be it's about to go bankrupt, and so there isn't going to be 5 or 6 years of sustained profit. So you have to look a little bit suspiciously at things which are as low as that. Whereas, on the other hand, P/E is high as 50, it's going to take many, many years to get your money back. So why are people buying the shares? In the financial report or the annual report, you'll find information about the company's strategy. So now you can think, is it going to keep going for another 5, 10, 20, 50 years? Is it going to keep going like that for the medium and long-term future? And we've already touched on the idea you shouldn't put all your eggs in one basket. If you do invest in anything, invest in a range of companies, get some shares, some bonds, some other forms of investment, if you must, property, etc. All right. So we've just got to the next activity, and we've been going for an hour. This is a double slot, so I will give you a 10-minute break. You can stretch your legs, get a bit of fresh air, whatever. We'll resume again at 10 to 12 by that slot.
太催眠了，我在这睡了。这个是不是比外面底文还好一点讲？
这个就是看还有让我们出去逛一圈。后面可能就慢慢回
叫他们。